Nike hitting a new all-time high today after a pair of bullish upgrades from the Wall Street. Piper Jaffray and Susquehanna both raising their ratings on Nike to buy or overweight, increasing their price targets to $93. These are our dual calls of the day. And Jim, it's a really interesting call here because, and there's a lot of stuff in here, okay? But here's the reality, is I'll summarize these two reports for our viewers. They're managing inventory better. They're keeping things that people want a little more scarce, so they have more pricing power. Channel checks, both analysts say, are strong.
Yeah, and that's all true. But I think also it pays to know a little bit about how the analyst community works, right? Both of these guys had price targets that the stock has just blown through. So they have to decide, what do they do with it? Do they turn negative on it? Of course not. You look at this chart, you look at the fundamental momentum, you see the stocks going higher, and they have to raise their price targets. But I don't think it's like they're coming out of the woodwork after having been negative on the stock and saying, oh my God, we just discovered all these new things. These things are known in the stock. This is just a question of whether Nike, now at a roughly 24 times multiple, gets to 26, 27, 28 times. And the answer is, it probably does, just on momentum, in the absence of anything negative to turn it around.
I think it points out the strength of the brand. Don't forget Mark.
Yeah, this was a brand, by the way, in trouble a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I wouldn't call in trouble.
Okay, fair enough. They had a lot of executive departures, by the way.
That's where I was.
Adidas, Stan Smith, they had all the hot stuff. Nike, how about this? Not in trouble, but it certainly wasn't hot.
Right. It like any other great company, it had a period where it paused. But what I'm talking about, strength of the brand, is something else you referred to, which is that they lost so much of their senior management. They lost the heir apparent in an harassment scandal. They lost so many members of management, but yet they keep going through, yet they've put up great numbers each quarter. And to me, it's just a very, very narrow market. Adidas is doing quite well. Nike's doing quite well. Under Armour's coming back. I'm still not convinced it's worth the valuation. Matter of fact, I know it's not. And Lulu, which is a separate segment that neither company touches, none of the three, is just killing it. So I think there's room, and it speaks more to the consumer appetite to continue to spend.
I think the direct-to-consumer model has worked for Nike over the last couple of years. I also believe that there's a little bit of an inherent belief that they have low risk as it relates to Amazon being able to cannibalize them, and I think that's partially true. North America, you're seeing a reacceleration. That's coming back once again, and I think the question ultimately becomes right now, is there a read-through here for others in the athletic footwear space? Does this mean on Friday Foot Locker possibly reports a stronger quarter than it's expected?
Possibly.
So,
I love, Joe, that both these analysts set a $93 price target. Right. I mean, one upgraded from 78, Brian, that's Susquehanna. That's a 20% upside. Now, we know they don't just randomly grab these numbers, but it is interesting that both of these analysts, after running their numbers, and I'll give them credit for being right on this on the way up, have basically both picked 93 as an upside, which is, as I say, about 20% upside from here.
I think there's a cultural point to be made here as well, which is that there are 73 million millennials. Gen Z is now going to be a bigger generation than millennials. Is
that a rapper?
No. Generation Z is already going to be bigger than the millennial generation, but these are now the people who dominate the labor force in America, the workforce. And increasingly, when you walk into meetings, you're less likely to see someone in leather loafers or dress shoes or wingtips. You're going to see, even when you're meeting with multimillionaires, CEOs of businesses, people wearing Nikes, people wearing Allbirds, people wearing Adidas. And so I think just the footwear trend overall is more supportive of Nike than maybe it would be for other shoe brands that are selling through department stores. And I think that's something that we should all be mindful of in the background.